Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
This is Matt.
and today we are going to be talking about Carmageddon. I just want to let everybody know they should not take this as a review. This is once a month. We pick a game. This month we picked Carmageddon. We play it for about as much as we can stand for the month, and then we come back here and we talk about it. Kind of like a book club, but for old games. Old games. We don't always get it right, but we definitely get it.
We rarely get it right.
We rarely get it right. Um, but
Yes, I see you have some corrections here
I have
from.
corrections. That's going to lead into that because I'm gonna. I used to try and save these up for the end of the year, and
But there's too there's too many now.
too, well, I forget. We get to the end of the year, and I'm like, no one cares anymore. So
Yeah.
uh, the one I want to start with is a correction immediately for King's Quest because we apparently didn't read all the manual. Uh, I didn't. It wasn't in the
Paper's dead, man.
manual. Yeah. Uh,
You need in-game tutorials now.
right.
Nobody's gonna read a manual.
Well, we're supposed to. We're playing 20-year-old games, 30-year-old games in some cases, coming up on 40-year-old games in some cases.
I mean, you're supposed to file your taxes too, but
Overrated.
yeah,
Overrated.
there's so much shit you're supposed to do
Yeah, who can
nowadays.
remember all of it?
So
Yeah,
hard pass on the
I'll
manuals.
pass on the manuals. Jeremy Irwin, if I said your name wrong, sorry. That you can move in diagonals on the Apple II. Those stairs were a pain in the ass of our own doing.
Right.
I still think the rest of our stuff stands on the game, but you
Yep.
can move in diagonals.
We
Uh,
were the assholes
yeah, yeah.
in
Look,
that one because we bitched about it and we did
a
nothing to
lot.
help ourselves. Yeah, I know. I invested half like an afternoon in being pissed off about those stairs and grumbling every time I saved my game, and the whole
Yep.
time
Could
if
have
I had
just. Yep.
just I don't even know what they are. But in our defense, the we're indefensible.
No.
The keys aren't really intuitive.
No, they're not intuitive. They're not next to your arrow keys. It's good they're there. So if you want to play King's Quest and not be angry at the stairs, you can. Um,
It'll free up your bandwidth to be angry about
other
the other
things.
the other things like the Rumpelstiltskin puzzle.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway, the other
we're
correction.
past that. We're
We're
past
past
that.
that. The bitterness is leaving our body. Uh, Mr.
Might
Briscoe
make up
pointed
for it.
out something. He was annoyed with our Ultima 4 video. He says that we apparently we didn't get it because we didn't look up how the virtues work from a mechanical standpoint. We
Well, do you need to like? Would you have done that in
no,
the 80s? I mean,
no,
I
you
thought that
couldn't
was
have
the whole
really.
point of the game was that you were just trying to
It
noodle
was
it
meant
out
to
and
be
do your best.
obfuscated. Yeah. So going all the way back to Ultima 4, the thing he was talking about is if it's an evil creature, you don't have to worry about it fleeing. It's not a virtue hit. I feel like that is a bug more than an intent because I can't believe that's the way it's supposed to be. But I looked up afterwards on like all the sites that talk about it, and none of them say you have to let evil creatures live. You can kill them, um,
Hmm.
but I don't know.
You
Still,
you doubled down on that
I
just now.
did. I did. I will double down on that.
I would eat crow, man.
Nope.
Mister Briscoe's already annoyed with you. You don't make enemies,
Don't
man.
make enemies. Don't annoy our fan base. Although I don't know that he's our fan base. Um,
Well, if he is,
no,
welcome.
welcome, and that is kind of why, like I said, I want to make sure people understand this isn't meant to be an in-depth engine level review. This is meant to be from a player standpoint, someone who's going to just play the game as the game. And I think there's some value in that. If you want to actually dig in, you're going to get that information somewhere else. If you want to have two people talk about a player experience in a game, welcome. Uh, so let's get on to the game we're going to talk about.
Yeah, Carmageddon.
Carmageddon.
Loved it when it came out. Loved it today.
Yes.
I had so much fun playing this month because like I don't know if it's where I was emotionally this month or what, but I had a blast with Carmageddon.
I had a great time with Carmageddon. I think this is going to be one of those episodes where we both love the game, and now we're going to rip on it for about an hour. Um,
That does happen quite a bit.
so I really want to drive home. I think the best example I can give of this is about like 4 days ago. The game crashed on me twice in a night. We were coming up on the end of the month. The game crashed on me twice a night. One time after I had $100,000 run, like I was jumping 5 points in the thing, and I lost all that. And I'm like, that's it. I'm done with the game. And the next night, I sat down and opened Carmageddon.
Yep, I had several of those moments too. But it's fun. Like
it's
it's low pressure. It's fun. It's you can play the way you want. It's a good game.
mm-hmm. No, it absolutely is, and a lot of it is the tone. So there were multiple things that reminded me of Duke Nukem 3D. Uh, the engine, the actual build of the city, had that late 90s 3D painted aspect that I could have seen Duke running around there
Totally.
and it would have felt right. The other thing was the irreverent, violent, uh, yet seemingly self aware of that it's inappropriate.
Right. Which, is a valid point. Like if you're watching this at home with the whole family gathered around the TV, you might want to put the
Might want to
fucking
take the
kids
little
to
kids
bed
away
because
for a second. Might just
this
want
is
to
a
just
shit
take them
show.
away for a second. This was the first game I ever said I'm not going to play in front of my kids. They're
Wow.
probably fine. It's probably okay. The more I played it, the less I felt that way. But day one, I started playing, and I'm like, not playing this in front of my kids. I've played some violent games in front of my kids. I'm not playing this in front of my kids. Granted, my kids are 5 and 3, so you know, there's
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. It, it's super violent, uh, and you're just like running down innocent pedestrians, but it's like
I know
I
you
didn't.
accused me of victim blaming last time. If you're standing on the race course, no, no, not innocent.
Yeah, I mean,
Although you can leave the race course, so there's that.
right. There really is. There's the suggestion of a race course.
Yeah. And I know, God, we're going to jump around all over the place. But one of the things I love about this is a game, as far as I made it anyway, and I made it far enough, like I made it about halfway through. Other games, more modern games, would have forced your hand into a sometimes um, you have to win the race a certain way, or you have to do a certain thing to win it. This never forces you. If you enjoy smashing up cars to win the race and that's how you want to win it, great, win the race that way. If you want to do it through laps, great, win the race that way. If you want to do it by killing all the pedestrians, great, win the race that way. It never forces you into something it feels you should be doing. You never feel hamstrung into how you want to do things or where you want to go. It's one of the most cathartic, freeing games I think we've played.
Yeah, and the first time you sit down and play it, it's even a little off-putting because you don't know what position you're in the race. But there isn't.
Doesn't
There's
matter.
no concept of position in the race.
Can you
Uh,
do that number of laps? It's not do you win. It's not, oh, you came in fourth, so that's not really good enough. It's it's about making money. And I
yeah.
figured that out in the last week where I'm like, oh, this is about how much money can you earn in a race.
Hmm.
Well, that changes my strategy completely.
We should probably kick this video off though,
Oh,
so we
what?
can.
People want
What
to
are,
watch?
what are we looking at here?
We are going to be looking at.
I want to talk. I definitely. Sorry, I just asked you a question and then I interrupted you, but I got excited by the 3D logo.
Yes.
I've those 3D cards were like the most badass thing
I
in the history
wish.
of things.
Yeah, I thought I had a recording. We were looking for it just before we started. I thought I had a recording of the non 3DFX version. I will. Do you want me to insert it here? We'll just take a moment and I'll say like I'm going to insert the non 3DFX version over top of this for a second, give you guys like 10 seconds of watching it, and
Yeah.
then we'll come back and we'll look at this 3DFX version.
Yeah.
So we just looked at basically the difference between having a graphics card and not having a graphics card in the late 90s. And it's huge. It
Yep.
is really, really cannot be understated. And I seem to remember loving this game as, back then without the graphics card.
Yeah. Right. Because the thing is that like graphics cards weren't even. It was like a new, totally new idea
Hmm.
almost.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was so dramatic when you got one and started using it. The Voodoo cards were like the best
Hmm.
at the time. I mean, you could argue there were better cards, but they were like the best marketed, the
Yeah.
most sought after. I think
There are fanboys for all the cards from then. What were they? They were the Voodoo,
Diamond made a
Diamond,
bunch. I
Diamond.
loved. I had a Diamond. I think Viper was my
Okay.
first one and loved it.
Yeah, I immediately went with the Voodoos, I think. Just
Yeah,
because of the name.
hmm that's wise.
Yep. That's how you pick everything. Does it have a good name? And then
Yep. Is the box bright green?
the
Like,
box bright
okay,
green.
let's do it. And huge. Like they were pretty big boxes. I remember.
Yeah. And you open it up and it's just the card. I'm like, well, I thought it would be bigger. Um,
This is a non sequitur, but I miss video game boxes so much.
oh, I do too. That's why I ordered this one. I missed it so badly. There's something nice about picking it up and holding it and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have any box collection?
I mean, I have a box of fantasy that you gave me, and I think that might be it.
Oh man.
I'm a non-sentimental person, so like I threw all that shit away or like donated it to Goodwill or whatever, and I regret it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got rid of a bunch of mine over the years, and I've been for the last like 4 years in the process of buying back and
Hmm
starting a collection because I finally in a place where I can, and,
hmm
and I don't know. I just was thinking
Yeah.
about it like, you know, I guess if you're somebody out there who does collecting, let me know if you do and why in the comments because we're actually starting to get a following now, and that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, and people who talk, and that's also really awesome. We love the comments. It helps
Right.
keep us going.
Even when they're that we're wrong,
Even when
I
they were
still like
wrong.
that.
Like we're giving I'm giving Mr. Briscoe some grief there, but I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, it's good
nice.
to know.
I learned something, and I'd played Ultima many many times and still learned something. So
Yeah.
anyway, back to this game.
Yeah.
Like
Where were we on
we were
this?
we were starting with the 3D FX cards and talking about how awesome it is, but also like you said for System Shock that it was possibly the most 90s game.
I may have been wrong.
You may have been wrong. You may have been wrong. Um,
This whole the like just irreverent violence and like uh the whole nature of this game is just like pure 19 late 90s 97 this came out
yeah, yeah. This
and
came out.
like not, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say this came out in '97. It's the music. Did you notice the music? Because it was super subtle and yet really metal,
Oh yeah,
really good '90s metal.
yeah, it was like kind of industrial sounding metal at times.
Hmm.
It was good music. It definitely added to my enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, no, and it did it in a way I never turn the music off.
Hmm
Very few games do I never turn the music off. I never turned the music off. I never got sick of it. It was in the background just enough. Default out of the box. I didn't have to change the levels. Just really, I, it deserves its own mention, and we should probably talk more about it. But um,
Yeah.
no, the music, the sounds are good. Uh,
The only sound that drove me crazy was when she screams.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Is
that's
it
a
her that's screaming?
yeah. She screams sometimes too.
And it
Um,
sounds like just pasted over everything and really shrill and
yeah.
unnecessary. But otherwise, you're right. The sound was really good.
There was one sound that bothered me. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something with like, oh, I remember what it was. Tires squealing on snow.
Yeah,
Like that bothered me. It's a stupid thing to be bothered about, but uh, when the
right.
rest of the game is so solid that that's the thing,
Yeah,
like you're starting to notice little things like the tires squeal there. Like they shouldn't.
I think. Well, I mean, I don't want to get into a bitch fest because I want to talk about gaming in 1997 and 98, which I think might be the best time for gaming.
You and I gonna rumble. There's
No,
obviously 87. You're off by 10 years.
87.
87.
What came out in 87?
Everything that was awesome.
No.
Right around
Bar-
87, 88 was good. Like the gold box games were starting up. Wasteland was coming out. Ultima 5 was in that era. Um, uh, my era of games is 87. I understand your 97 comment. I get it.
GoldenEye 007 came out in 97.
I don't
Uh,
hold the love for that game that other people do. It's good. It brought
Ultima
first
Online. Come on, dude. Ultima Online came out in 97.
and it only came out and was awesome because of, all the Ultimas that came before it.
I mean, if we're following that logic, then every year is the best year in gaming because it was built on the history of all the games that came before it. That
Except
doesn't
for
hold up.
87 that was just awesome on its own.
97, 98, and then somewhere down here there's 1987. I acknowledge the significance of 1987. However, 97 was better, I think.
No, that's one of the things. Like, there are some I've seen debates on was gaming better in the 80s or 90s. My honest answer is 85 to 95 was the best years of gaming.
Hmm.
Um, there were some pretty good advancements, like the 3D cards coming out in the late 90s, which really added a lot and really let you do a lot more. But in terms of consistently good games, there was so much invention and so much innovation in those 10 years that it's a little bit of both. But
Hmm.
um,
This might be an agree to disagree kind of situation.
no, you're wrong. But we can move on.
So are we disagreeing on disagreeing?
Sure.
All right.
All right. Anyway, um, no, this game was super 90s. The attitude, the everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, just there were like quite a few games. Like you mentioned Duke Nukem, there was like Postal, there were
Redneck Rampage.
right. This whole like undercurrent of just subversive games that came out in the 90s and like for some reason I mean there's definitely more subversive games coming out now, but for some reason
These
it
were
felt
quality subversive because
yeah.
they nailed the balance between um, being violent and over the top and not making it look like that's what you want to aspire to. It's a Peter Griffin, Homer Simpson where you're enjoying watching them and you're enjoying being part of whatever this experience is, but you're not aspiring to be that. And so you can just enjoy it. And I think like the new Duke Nukem took itself too seriously. A lot of these things suddenly are trying to take themselves seriously. I think even this game, and I'm gonna bring up something else here. I'm gonna bring up the other image, and um, yeah, I'm gonna turn the game capture off for a second. So I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna fade to this. I'm gonna pause this. Right now I have the new image for Carmageddon up. I know you
The
can't see
red
this,
face
but the
guy.
red face guy. To me, this is an absolute mistake. Um, it takes itself seriously. There's no wink and nod in this. You're meant to feel. It feels like you're trying to be gritty and extreme when you see this guy, and it's just not the right tone for this game. Where when we go to the other one, and I'll pull that up now, um, it's the guy getting hit with the briefcase and stuff's flying, and the thing says the racing game for the chemically imbalanced. It
Hmm.
knows it's not hiding what it is in any way, shape, or form. It's just
Yeah.
being crazy. And yeah, it doesn't even like try to sell itself as extreme. It just, you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, you're totally making sense. And like you kind of get that in the manual a lot. You get that when you quit the game and it says like, do you want to go back to your real life that includes raising kids and buying
Yeah,
groceries or something?
yeah, or not being covered in blood and guts and
Right. Uh, so yeah, I think you totally nailed it. Like you can't dial that back really
you can't
in
dial the
in the
funny
media.
back. You can't dial the wink back. You need to
Right.
wink really hard when you're doing it. And this game does. Like, just, it's silly. And yet, that's okay. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like so much fun
hmm
and like uh, there's no story at all.
Nope.
There's no world building. You're not asking why, you know, you have no backstory for whoever you're playing. You're not asking why they're in this race or like the world that it takes place in or why these people are. It's just like just play the game and
hmm
have fun, and that's uh, perfect,
Yep.
perfectly done.
Okay. Question for you here. This is when you start a race, you get to pick where you start. In this case, I can only pick between two spots. But in some races, you can pick like 4 or 5 positions up.
Hmm.
Um, where do you position yourself? Do you position yourself towards the front or all the way in back?
I position myself on the inside toward the middle because I
Interesting.
really like to hit the guy who flags the race at the beginning because you get $1,000 if you nail that guy.
Yeah.
And I took it as kind of a personal challenge to nail him every race. So that was kind of my aim when I started. See if you get. Oh no! See, you
I
let him go.
passed. Yeah. No, I try to take out like one car right away so I can get as much time. Like for me,
Yeah,
the time is important. The flag guy, if I get another $1,000, that's fine. But
the time is really the most important thing in this whole game because that is the only way to lose a race is to run out of
right.
time.
Uh,
And you get time by wrecking people, by hitting pedestrians, by I think do you get time for doing cunning stunts?
it doesn't look like it. I just did one and I didn't see it
Yeah.
go up any.
So most of the game is managing the clock, and sometimes you'll find yourself with like 20 minutes of time, and sometimes you'll find yourself constantly running out. And I think one of the keys there is to try to wreck someone early, like you said.
Yeah. Get yourself like a good 3 4 minutes, and that lets you then line up the rest of your shots and kill a bunch of pedestrians and really you know
Yeah,
take the
I
race out of you.
never found killing pedestrians like that's kind of a nickel dime way to build up your time. Uh,
It's a nickel dime way to build up your time. One of the things I found interesting in the last couple races I was running is it's a nickel dime way to build up your time, but it builds up your dollars, especially if
yes,
you hit them fast. One of the things that goes into this as well is it's not just hitting something, it's how hard you hit it that determines how much money you're getting.
yeah,
Um,
which is fabulous.
just a great mechanic.
Yeah.
That is a really cool mechanic because it everything in this game encourages you to be reckless,
Hmm.
which is great. If they changed any part of that encouragement, this game would fail. Um,
Yep.
and you might have noticed, like my car, it's not at the moment, but when it takes damage, the damage goes away because I hit a key and I lose some money, and then my car's fixed. There's
Yep.
other than the money, there's really no downside to like it's damaged now, and I'll deliberately just clear out some mines. Uh, I eventually stopped going down this mine way. I learned like you don't need to do that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you kind of have to get a feel for. Like you can go anywhere, and there's these kind of big open areas where
Hmm.
you end up in a lot of this combat. But they're usually off the track, and it's kind of you have to navigate a little bit to get back on the track if you decide you want to. But usually, I find once I get down in these pits that I beat the game by destroying other people.
Yeah. This race, this is technically on the track on this course.
Oh, this is part of the. Oh yeah, that's right.
This one it is. Normally you're right. Like there's a big open mine area or there's other areas that are just big open fields. The first one has a football field, so when you come up to it, you literally plow through one of the teams and get a ton of points. Um, and they do a good job of that, of building little ramps and little things in hidden corners that encourage you to explore. Um, a racing game that encourages exploration is an interesting mechanic. I don't know what else to call it. Element, something.
Yeah,
That was going too fast, so I accidentally jumped the guy. Now I'm stuck on top
yeah,
of him. But again, when you get stuck, you hit a key, it resets you, costs you 2 grand, whatever.
yeah. And there's barrels everywhere, so sometimes you can get free for repairs and recovery.
Yep. And
Yeah,
sometimes you changes the gravity of your car, or adds electrical shock, so you just zap pedestrians as you run by. The barrels are another fantastic mechanic that makes absolutely no real world sense. Who
no,
cares? Like, I really believe the developers were like, what would be fun? And then they did it and they didn't care.
yep.
Um, and that's great. This entire game is nothing but risk.
Hmm.
Any part of this is something that I don't know would have been made today, just because none of it makes sense. None of it seems like it should work.
Right.
And
Like people do things like. Do you remember when Goat Simulator was a thing for
mhm,
like 10 minutes?
for 10
Like,
minutes.
right, that's the thing. Like this holds up. You can go back and play this. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just oh look
Yeah.
you run over pedestrians. It's funny. Ha ha ha. It holds up.
Yeah, the month's over. I'm not done.
Yeah,
I'm going
right.
to keep playing it this month.
Yeah, if you want to, the other thing I loved about it was,
No, here we go. I hate bouncy bouncy.
oh god, bouncy is one of the worst. Uh, the pacing is really good in this game because you can play a race that lasts 5 minutes. You can play a race that lasts 45 minutes. You
Mhm.
know.
If you can keep racking up your time, you can go as long as you can keep doing things that give you more time. Some of the barrels that gave me a time bonus. That was
Hmm.
timing. Um,
Did you ever kill all the pedestrians to
I've
win?
never done that. I want to go back.
I think it's impossible. I just can't imagine getting enough time
Time.
stocked up to find them all because the levels are huge.
There is a barrel. I don't know if it's on every. Oh, here we're gonna see the police. I don't know if it's on every level, but I have found a barrel that shows pedestrians on the maps.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that would make it doable. That and like an electroshock thing, and then you just run through some of the crowds. And well, one of the other things that would make it possible, but they don't let you do, and this is one of my big complaints, is they only let you go so far back in the maps. Like when you start playing, you unlock the next map, you unlock the next map, and after like 10 of them, they start locking the first map.
Hmm.
I don't know why they did that. In a game where everything else is freedom, that to me seems like a misstep. And not a huge one, but I'd like to occasionally, after I get a completely badass overpowered car, go back to that first one. Even if you're going to be like, okay, the money you earn here doesn't count towards your rank. Like that's fine. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
want it to count towards my rank, but I'd like to play it again because I like racing that course or I like doing something like that. To just lock it off from me is, I don't know. I don't care for that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I never tried to go back. I always, just kept doing whatever because it recommends you a race after you
hmm
complete it. And I don't know what it's based on. If it's
I
like,
don't. Yeah, I don't know what it's based on either.
but I always just took whatever they recommend. Like, all right, I'll do it.
I once I learned that this was about making money, there were some races I knew I made more money on than others, so I would
Totally.
do those. Missed me, I can make $100,000 in that race easy.
Absolutely.
Um, Other races, I'm lucky to scrape by with 10 just because stuff's too spread out.
Yeah. When we started playing, I was playing the expansion races unknowingly.
Yeah,
Just and those are pretty good. I think those are a little more of the open in
in your mind.
my mind, but that might be just because I was so new to it and I didn't really get how to use the map and everything, which is another thing that you really have to do.
Yeah, you'll see me pull it up sometimes. Hit tab, pull up the map. Oh, there's a question. What did you use for controller?
I used my Logitech uh, F310 gamepad. It's like a PS2 controller,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of brings me to one of my main complaints about this game. And it sounds like a huge complaint, but the physics engine to me was really, really, really challenging to use because your car seems to have no traction at all. You're constantly whipping around, and that can be not satisfying at all because it kind of robs you of a lot of really great moments. It gives you some really great moments, but part of me thinks that if I had a joystick with a bigger, uh, area of action,
Mm-hmm.
that I could have made more subtle uh, steering inputs and maybe done a little better. But using a gamepad, it was just like constantly. I couldn't even drive straight,
Well,
really.
did you map the wheel spin to one of the buttons?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Uh, I
'Cause
had wheel spin and emergency brake, repair, and recover mapped to the buttons.
Because that was one of the more interesting things I thought is that there's a button that lets you steer at a different velocity, basically steer at a different rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that it was good for like when you're in a jam and you want to make a tight turn out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem was like if I'm driving really fast straight down the road and I want to gently go off to the left, it's
Mm-hmm.
not easy to do that with, at least not with the gamepad.
No, it wasn't easy with the keyboard, and that's what I used. I used straight keyboard. I liked using the keyboard. Um, my complaint wasn't the physics so much as the camera.
I
Uh,
I used first person view most of the time because I couldn't stand the backup camera and you have to back up so much.
right. One of my issues is like the camera points, and it took me. I had to figure out. I had to study it once it started annoying me. The camera points in the direction you're headed, even if you're trying to change direction. So even if you've started slowing down, if you're heading in the other direction, it's going to take a while for that camera to get back around to where you need to go. So like I'm going to back up here and it see how it like whips around and I can't see where I'm headed
Yep.
because it was last pointed forward. So I can't actually see where I'm going for a couple seconds when I change direction, which can be a problem when you're trying to line up to ram somebody. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
th- I think they did good for their time, but if it was going to be done again, that is maybe the one thing I'd tell them like keep pretty much everything else the same.
Hmm.
Fix that camera issue. Um, I for the most part, I know you like the realism of being like in the car for these things.
Hmm.
To me, the loss of peripheral vision is always an issue. You need to see stuff coming at you sideways. You need to, you know what I mean?
I would not have used the first person. I would have happily used the third person if it weren't for the
The
camera
backup
issue that you,
camera.
because ordinarily, like I like kind of sim type racing games, and I like the first person
Hmm.
view. But for an arcade game, especially like this,
Yeah.
you really want to use third person for it. But I just couldn't get. I was getting so frustrated waiting for that camera to whip around so I could maneuver that I switched. And there's a good rear view mirror in the first person view,
Mm-hmm.
so really is a lot faster to back up.
Yeah. I would have liked the rear view camera or rear view mirror in the third person view.
That would have been really nice. I have a question.
Hmm.
It's not damaged on your car, but there's one part of the car that I'm always damaging first, and it looks like the rear view mirror, but I don't know why that matters. I don't know if it's an air intake or what, but like I was constantly damaging this one part
If
of
you
my car.
if you see it damage on mine, let me know because for me it's always the steering wheel. I destroy the steering wheel, and I don't know like how it's destroying the steering wheel before it's destroying suspension and tires, but whatever.
It's that little green thing that juts off the engine.
The steering wheel.
Oh, that's the steering
It's
wheel?
steering. It's your turning. Yeah. When
Oh.
that goes down, your steering will go to shit. Not that it's all that great to begin with, but it'll go to shit.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another point. One of the things you do in this game is you slowly upgrade your car over time. You buy power, damage, and armor. Handling should have been an
Right.
upgrade.
Right.
Handling
That's
should have been an upgrade.
that is absolutely a thing that they should have done. And I was a little disappointed in the upgrades because there's only like two, right?
3. Power, armor, and damage.
Oh, and damage, yeah. But I mean, there's only two levels. It's not like there's 10 levels of
No,
armor.
no, 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 no. And okay, I looked this up. This is one of the things because I ran into the same thing. I'm like, do I got to switch cars? Is there something I got to do? When you pass position 75 in rank, you can do the next level.
Okay.
So basically, you got to get far enough down to pass that thing. And then basically, what happened is after I got past 75, I had so much money that I just bought all the upgrades right away. So it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
didn't
it's
really.
not a pace thing.
No,
It's
so
a
that
gate.
yeah, that pacing was bad. Um, and I think a little bit of work could have made it different, along with unlocking cars.
Yes, I was just going to say that system is not good.
It is not a good system. Um,
Uh, because you just like once you, there's certain cars you can unlock at certain levels, and then you have to wreck them, and then they appear in your inventory.
so they have to be in the race with you. You have to be the right level, and you have to wreck them. And you
Yeah,
don't necessarily. I've never seen anything that tells me that that's what's going to happen. It's essentially random, unless you look up online how to get cars unlocked.
yeah. The manual glosses over it and doesn't really give you any specifics.
Hmm.
And like I I was very excited when I unlocked my first car, and
Yeah,
it was a really long road drag race car.
yeah, Vlad.
Yeah, Vlad, and it's terrible.
Mm.
It's impossible to drive. So it felt like kind of
Yeah,
a kick in the
I've got
balls
3 or 4
because
cars unlocked at this point, and I'm still just driving this one.
right.
I didn't feel any need to drive the other ones. I'm sure towards the end, some of the best cars you unlock, you'll want, but I don't know.
Yeah, from a development like car development whatever
Hmm.
standpoint, I would say this game is lacking.
Yeah, I'm betting Vlad does more damage than this too. But when you look at it in the upgrade system, it you can't tell that. There's no sense of compare and contrast between the cars. Um, it's kind of too bad. It's
Yeah,
it's a missed opportunity. Is really.
yeah. I would have rather like had some say in the matter, like which one I want to unlock.
Well, and this is where I think they missed an opportunity with the money going back to the upgrades and stuff. That money doesn't do anything other than pay for your upgrades, but it's the thing you're supposed to be trying to earn every race. Either a betting mechanic where you can bet money against people's cars, like, if I win, I get your car, but if you win, you get $200,000. Like
Yeah,
that would have been something I could have worked with in terms of like I got to save up to bet against this guy's car because I want his car because I'm sick of him ramming me with it.
right. Did you get a feeling, speaking of the other cars, did you get a feeling that they had personalities?
They do.
Do they?
They
I
do.
thought they might, like, because some cars always seem to be avoiding conflict and some always seem to be trying to mess me up.
Well, and if you want to see how I found out, because I was like, do they have different personalities? So what I started doing is at the beginning of races, not going, just not moving and watching what all the other cars did. And some cars will start ramming people. Some cars will try to get out of the way. Some cars will start going for pedestrians. And some cars will just sit there for a second
Hmm.
and not move and let everybody else get away and then start trying to do their race. So yeah, there's some. I don't think it's a huge level of personality, but there's some personality in there, which hats off. Good for a 90s game like this. You didn't need to do that, and it's nice that it's in there. Um,
Yeah, the unintended, well, maybe it was the intended consequence, but the for the player, me, I guess,
mhm.
I don't know if this is true for you, but I wound up just hating the shit out of some drivers like passionately, and I would go out of my way to torment them because I didn't like that they would push me sideways down the road for so long in the previous race, which
Yellow
is wonderful.
yellow pickup truck with the swinging thing in front of him. That guy can eat
Yes.
a bag of dicks.
Yep. Fuck
Um,
that guy. Seriously. I got no beef with the guy in the little, like, it's really low to the ground. It looks like a little RC car. I got no
yeah,
beef with that guy.
I
He
got no beef with that
flies.
guy.
You hit him. He flies through the air. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't feel
wanted
good
his
about
car.
that.
I wanted to race it for one race. Like
Me
I
too.
didn't want to race it for a lot of races, but like one race, it'd been fun to drive it around.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, like there was a nice just amount of personality, even if it's just based on looks of the cars. The cars all have very different looks and very different drivers, and
Hmm.
it's it, you can tell some care went into that, and it's cool to see that care went into that.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets you emotionally invested.
Hmm.
The other thing that I was emotionally invested in was hating the police.
Oh,
They're so overpowered uh, that once they're
yeah,
on your shit, they will just like torment you,
yeah, they will
which is
mess up your
great.
Christmas,
Yep, because like you hear the siren and you feel like, oh shit, like it's the police. Like I do not want to deal with this.
right? Well, and
Yeah.
like I had forgotten all about them from when we first played this. So
Hmm.
I'm in one race and I'm just starting to smack people around. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, what? And then this armored vehicle with a plow on the front of it starts pushing me into a wall and immediately destroys my transmission. Like,
Hmm.
oh, this went bad.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have in our notes about this? I haven't even looked at them.
Oh, the game, we were talking about the 3DFX stuff and we never mentioned this. It for some reason lets you pick which version you want to play. Why would you
Yeah.
not pick the 3D accelerated version? I don't. I mean, I guess
Well,
it's nice that it's there because the code's probably still there. But
right. That's exactly why. Like, because when it came out, you might not have it,
hmm.
and I guess they just never got rid of the.
Oh, the other thing I was thinking about cops and money, since they're going back to back, that'd have been another good use for money. Is like you can start the race by bribing the police,
That would be rad. Yeah, that would have been good.
or pay to sabotage another car, or um, you know, pay a guy to throw a race, something, or pay the ref to get a different position. Um, to
Yeah.
unlock where you are. Just cheat with money. Use money to cheat. And I feel like that would have been in the tone of the game
Hmm.
and added another dimension to why you need money.
Yeah. Yeah. The money is kind of a weird, uh, in a weird place between score and resources
Hmm.
in this game, but it worked for me. Like
No,
overall, it was good. Like because you have to manage how much you're spending on recoveries and repairs in the race.
in the race, yes. In the race, it's absolutely necessary to try and manage your money. And I think that's cool. Once I
Yeah.
realized that and started watching it and being like, well, can I win with this damage? Like,
Hmm.
do I want to repair it or do I want to take that money out of the race and use it towards something else.
There were a lot of times where I felt like the course was kind of uh, overly punitive. Like there's some places where there's jumps, and with as much problem as I was having with the physics engine and the steering, that got really frustrating because I would have to recover like 5 times just to get over a jump
You
because I
gotta
wanted
start
to drop
learning to
stuff
take the
down.
jump. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go with that's on you. Yeah, I mean the first couple times I do a map like Missed Me or something that had you doing several jumps down a bridge,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it was frustrating as hell, especially because some jumps are set up so that if you're doing full speed, you're gonna ram into a sign on the far side. You
Right.
have to learn the speed, and um, it's not
Yeah.
impossible.
No, it's not. And like you can get through it, but I think that's more a statement about the why the physics engine was so frustrating rather
Yeah,
than the recovery mechanic.
yeah, no. And it's an was it the second level or third that had a loop?
Yeah, the loop. Yeah.
Oh my god, I hated that loop. I spent one race just like I'm not gonna win this race. I don't care, but I'm doing the goddamn loop.
Hmm.
Like this is happening. So
Yeah.
because you can get around it, like you don't have to do it. Again, this game never makes you do anything.
Right. If you want to do the course, you have to hit the checkpoints, but what you do between the
Like
checkpoints is totally up to you.
and how you get to the checkpoints. Like the one where we were talking about the mines in that whole area that's got a mine thing when it's on the course. I
Hmm.
think it was, like 4 or 5 before all of a sudden I'm like, if I just hit the checkpoint, back up about 5 feet, I can run down this road right next to the other checkpoint and not have to like deal with the mines and other drivers at all.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that and just chalking up pedestrian points on the way down, and
Yeah. Those mines are pretty fantastic though.
they are fantastic. It's fun to go flipping your car through there and just watch it go absolutely nuts. And
Hmm.
um, even you take it. That's one of the things that's interesting about this game. Even you taking damage is satisfying.
Yeah, right. It never feels like you never feel like the car's delicate at all, and you never feel like you really have to protect yourself. It really encourages you to go balls out uh, into
Mhm.
the
And when something goes wrong, you hit a button, you lose some money in repair.
yeah, and
And
you can go negative on your money
yeah,
if you're out of time and you're negative. I guess you just
nothing happens.
yeah, nothing happens. You
Nothing
just
happens.
cancel the race, or I think
Yeah,
I just canceled the race when that
yeah.
happened.
It even says I think it was the book. It was somewhere I was reading
Yeah.
for it where it's like, we are trying not to punish you. Cancel the race without penalty. Where other places might like, oh, you dropped out, you're gonna have to take a hit. They're like, nope, there is no penalty for you as a player in this game.
Hmm.
You are meant to just have fun. Just have fun with it. And
Yeah.
that's such a nice feeling to not have to take anything too seriously.
Right. And that's like when I think it was the end of our last talk,
Hmm.
we started to have this conversation about uh, violence versus racism, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And I think that we should just not have that conversation
Yeah, you
because I
said
think
that. Yeah.
it goes against what this game's about. Like this game is just about having a bunch of fun, doing whatever you feel like.
Hmm.
It's not it's not trying to be anything other than
Right.
a good time.
Well, and like you don't have to play this game violent.
No, you don't have to. You can turn off the pedestrians.
Can you?
Yeah, it's you hit like minus and there's no blood and no pedestrians.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I don't know if you bought it for your stupid kid and you don't want them and you didn't know what it was and because it was 1997 and there's no internet everywhere.
I guess.
I don't know why you do that.
Well, and I know there was some controversy about this in Germany and England where they had to make a like zombie version. And
Yeah.
then I guess someone, I'm going to do air quotes, leaked the full version to those places.
Terrible.
and terrible. I believe it was the developers who leaked it. I that's the rumor that the developers actually leaked the full version.
Would they do that though?
I
Why?
would. I
Yeah, I
totally
totally
would.
would. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's it
This
is
game's
it is violent.
ridiculous.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're running people over, but it's not really you know
Well, yeah, didn't this start as like
gratuitous.
a
It is
Mad
gratuitous.
Max game and then became a Death Race game and then they just kept losing licenses so said we're going to make our own property. I like these little
I
vignettes
don't
when
think I
you
ever saw that one.
I
I
don't
always saw the bottle knocking the guy off the table.
I think that's what happened. Let me check something here.
Oh, is it because you won in
I
a
think it's
different
I
way?
won with negative money. Let me.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm at a $300 loss
and then yeah.
out of time. So
Okay. Yeah, see, I was so good at this that never happened to me.
never happened to me.
I'm
Burr.
glad. I'm glad that I play this with someone who's not as good
Right.
because it teaches me new things.
Well, and like that sort of uh that sort of little thing with a cow on with a motor in it and googly eyes. That's so this game.
Yep. Yep. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't appear later in the game. It's
No,
great.
no.
I see you played as Diana,
Yes.
the female driver
Yep.
in the yellow car. That's exactly what I did
Yep.
too.
Why'd you pick Diana?
Thought she was pretty. Why'd you pick her?
I'm married.
Oh, never mind.
So if I said I thought she was pretty, that.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
No, supposedly her car's slightly faster.
I thought you could pick either car
You can
for some, no matter
uh
what driver you were. Is that
no,
true?
when you pick the driver, you pick their car.
Okay.
And then when you unlock cars in the future, you get those cars but still driving with your driver.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but if you pick what is his name? Max Damage?
Yeah.
No,
Max
maybe Max
damage.
Damage. Uh, his car does slightly more damage but goes slightly slower.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting. Yeah. I think I played when I played my first game when I was playing the expansions. I think I played as the red car, uh, and didn't like it. Like I want to say this one seemed to handle better.
I feel like it did, but it might be in my head. It might just because it's faster. So when I'm out of control, it feels more
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
the little car that I liked that
yeah,
when you just smashed into.
yeah. Oh, I should maybe here. Hang on. I gotta hide you for a second.
Oh no. Where did I
Because
go?
because basically we need people to see Diana.
Oh right.
Yeah,
Right.
you're over Diana, so no one could see her.
Oh yeah.
Can't
You
have
know,
that. That's you now. You're
I like a
Diana,
woman in a crash helmet, I guess.
right?
I got to type.
Let's see. Let's turn you back
Yeah,
on.
give the people what they want. Put me back
Put you
in.
back in there. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't have any crashes. I just saw you put a picture of Macho Man Randy Savage into the notes. I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, when we were talking about the other stuff, you were like, you put in Steve Austin. I'm like, well, if you're gonna do that, then I'm putting in Macho Man.
Yeah, it's not very professional.
No, doesn't matter. It's awesome. So, anything else about this game? I mean,
Um, no, like I think I definitely recommend that people play it
hmm
uh, without really much any reservations. I think that what I might do now uh, is go back and try to make one of my many joysticks work and see if I can do a little bit better on the handling because that's really the only thing that made me not want to play was
try the
always being.
keyboard.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I know that sounds really counterintuitive, but Like I didn't like my gamepad as much as I like just using the keyboard. Um,
Yeah. Like my inability to make small steering inputs, I think, is the main thing that gave me a hard time with the
mm.
handling. And I'm pretty sure it's because of my controller. But I would say, yeah, definitely get this. I think they remade it. Like, I don't know if you want to play the remake. I don't think it's necessary to play the remake.
No, I'd like to try the second one sometime. I know they did another one after that, and then they did one more. Um, my understanding is the last one at launch was plagued by frame rate issues, but I'd be interested to see if they got that bolted down. Um, just because it is such a good game. But I
Yeah.
also, one of the things that scares me about any new games is there's this need to innovate.
hmm
So invariably they messed with the formula.
hmm
And this is one of those games where unfortunately they got everything right the first time, and the only thing you should touch is the graphics and maps.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything else in this game.
Don't take any of the advice we gave you about money.
To be perfectly honest, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be one thing to like try it in testing and see what you come back with, but um, because like
Yeah.
even the thing I was thinking about like doing the handling, doing the gambling, doing the everything else, it's like yeah, those are fun ideas, but suddenly it makes the game complicated. You know what I mean? Like it
Right.
adds too many layers to a game that's not supposed to be taken seriously. So
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
was a different tone, um, like if Need for Speed wanted to do an ultraviolet mode, do those things I said.
Right.
If you wanted to do a death race game, do those things we said.
Yeah. If you want to make Carmageddon,
Don't
just,
touch anything.
yeah.
Don't touch
Yeah.
anything.
Update the graphics. Maybe fix that camera thing. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Please.
The camera thing. Well, the camera thing doesn't change anything about the game.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah. I'm trying to think of other things I'd change. I'd like to see the upgrades actually make a change to the vehicle. I think that could happen without any release, but that's a graphics change. Do
Yeah.
you have anything you absolutely would change in this? Like, I have ideas, but anything you absolutely would
Um,
change in this?
I think of the things we've talked about and the things that I was thinking about when I was playing it, uh, would be adding handling improvements like new tires or whatever, just to give
New
you a little
tires would be
more
nice.
grip before you lose traction. But
Yeah.
again,
You do
that might
lose it
be a
too much.
function. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be nice
Uh,
at high end to like I can understand in the beginning,
yeah.
but
But it
like
doesn't
you
need
could
to
also
be.
say like add RPG stats to the racers, like they get better at handling. Like there's things you could do like that. Like if you were making a Carmageddon inspired game, these are things I do. But with the
Yeah.
franchise, don't touch it. Um,
Yeah. Like they made Carmageddon Reincarnation, I think is
yeah,
the.
that's the one I heard had some rough patches. I
Yeah.
will probably try it because it does look beautiful, and it's been a while that it's been out. So,
Yeah.
um,
But I'll keep playing this. I mean,
mhm.
it's fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is an easy win. I remember the second one, like you came home from software, etc. one time, and you're like, giant funkin' groovin' pedestrians were like you had unlocked all those things, and I'm like, oh man, we got to play Carmageddon too.
Yep.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that is stuff to add, like expand what the barrels do.
Sure.
Yeah,
We should play Carmageddon 2 sometime.
we will. Got to get to 20 years.
All right.
Yeah,
When did that come out?
oh, good way to look up. While you're looking that up, let me ask you a question because I was just looking at it on the screen here. Did you ever use the speedometer?
No,
Yeah, me
are
either.
you kidding?
I don't even know why that's there. Um,
1998, Carmageddon oh boy, Carmageddon
really?
2 came out in 1998, the best year of video gaming. That's not a long time between games.
That is not a long time. That is really fascinating. I wonder how much of the engine they changed.
I don't know. I don't know, but we got to add it to the list.
It'll
It's got
get. It's on the
Iron
list.
Maiden did the music.
Yeah,
Terrific.
terrific. Absolutely terrific. All right. Um,
And I think that about does it for Carmageddon.
yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it. So unless you've got something um, fascinating, I will say we next month are going to play The Bard's Tale.
Yes.
I have
Often recommended.
often recommended. It is a recommendation that came from our recommendation uh, Google Doc. So
Yep.
we do listen, recommend games. Uh,
Yeah.
Deathlord is currently like the most recommended game we've gotten so far. Um, I'm scared of that one because that one's going to take time.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's notoriously
it is.
uh, long. But, whatever. We'll get through as much as we can and
Yeah,
maybe do two months of it.
maybe do
We
two
always
months on
talk
that
about
one.
doing that.
Yeah, might have to
Yeah.
with that one. But for this month, The
Bard's
Bard's Tale. What do you know about Bard's Tale?
very, very, very little. Just what you've told me pretty much over the course of this project.
Yeah, I've tried not to tell you too much, and I thought you'd like wizardry more, so now I'm really scared about Bard's
Yeah.
Tale.
I mean, I'll give it a shot. I don't have any. Who made it?
Interplay.
Okay.
Brian Fargo, something Cranston, and Rebecca Heineman.
Brian
Um,
Fargo's a big deal.
Brian Fargo is a big deal. Uh,
Yeah. Tales of the Unknown.
yeah, technically it's Tales of Unknown, The Bard's Tale, but then the next two were like The Bard's Tale 2 and The Bard's Tale 3. So whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
That don't matter.
Michael Cranford
Oh,
is
okay.
technically the lead designer. Um, One of the things about Cranford that I've heard from interviews and other stuff, and is kind of how I used to play games back in the 80s. He had the attitude of it's him against you.
Hmm.
So when he designed a game, it was meant to try and beat you, and you're supposed
Right.
to try and beat him through the game.
Fun. Developer chess.
Developer chess. I am the type of person who likes that.
Yeah. Yeah. When done right, it's a
Yes,
fun way to play.
but not everybody does. So
Yeah.
uh,
I'm excited about it.
I am too. I am too. What do you know? What version you're gonna play? You gonna play the DOS version? You gonna try and score an
Probably
apple?
DOS.
Okay.
Probably the DOS version. That's usually what I wind up with.
Hmm.
Came out
Well,
on everything.
yeah, it really did. And there's
Amiga.
something for people. If I'm wondering if anybody wants me to even look into as like a side thing the Nintendo version of this. We don't do console games pretty much at all, but the Nintendo game is very very different. Like very different. Um, to the
Yeah.
point that I don't even consider it the same game. So if there's
Yeah.
any interest in that, great. If not, I don't care enough about it to focus on it. But I am looking forward to your take on this and seeing what 5 years of development does between Wizardry and Bard's Tale,
Hmm.
and how you feel about the things they've added.
Yeah.
Get your
Look
map
forward
paper
to it.
out.
I will. My grid paper. I'll do it.
Good paper. All right. Anything else before we go? Forgetting anything?
No.
All
I'm
right.
all set. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.